Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Factorio, sending supporters to space. We are in episode 2 here, and I've done a little bit of work off screen. I hope you're not... I know some people get upset when I do too much off screen, but if you... obviously you play Factorio, you know how hard it is to actually, stop, right? So I started, and, well, then this just happened. Anyway, it's not much. I've planned out some smelters, which I will explain and go through the setup here in just a second. I've run some coal, and then I've set up a lab, and I've just knocked out like 2 researches, 3 automation just to get assemblers, the thing for splitters since we need that for the smelters, and lights because we do need lights. Nothing exciting, nothing groundbreaking that was new in 15 or anything, and nothing to really be learned from. Just doing some researches, but yeah, let me grab some more iron here. And we're about ready to get these smelters going. So I've run coal through here, and I've decided to do a horizontal bus. I haven't actually done one in a long time. I have done a horizontal one and quite a few vertical ones. In fact, if you look back, and when I remember back, nearly all my series, like in the last year, I'd say, are probably use vertical buses. And I don't really know why. I guess maybe because they're pretty much all multiplayer, and the guys I'm playing with maybe prefer that, but I want to change it up, right? I want to do some different stuff in this series, because in the playthrough with Will and such, it was great and such, but part of the reason it ended, and as I'm doing this completely wrong, part of the reason it ended was because it wasn't very exciting, I guess, because we were just doing the same things that we always do, is kind of just going through the motions. I don't want to do that here, and I don't think it will happen because, well, 1, I'm just super excited for this, and 2, it's going to kind of force me to do things differently, which I want to do. It'll be a lot of fun. So let me just explain this really quick. I've laid out my smelters, and there's going to be, excuse me, there's going to be 8 total. There's going to be 4 iron and 4 copper. Now, people may be thinking, Xterminator, you said in the first episode that, you're going to go huge to build it, on a huge scale, and that is true. Don't you worry. But we're not going to do that with belts, and we're not going to do that on the initial base. Now, I know a lot of people may be disappointed that we're not doing that with belts, but I just can't. On the scale I want to build on, belts have not been optimized yet, like the major optimizations they were going to do, and then ran out of time or whatever. And belts still lag the hell out of the game. So I unfortunately cannot build even close to the scale that I want to with belts. So, and then also, this initial base is not going to be the base that we use to make like 2,000 science packs a minute and stuff. So I think 4 and 4 is okay for this. When we did the 8 smelters, I'm just like always out of iron. Story of Factorio, right? When we did the playthrough, the multiplayer one with Will, and we did the 8-lane bus, that was almost, to me, more trouble than it was worth. Like, it took us like an hour and a half to set up the smelters, and it was just kind of a pain routing everything. I think that 4 and 4 is an okay way to go. Once you get to blue belt, that's still quite a bit. And then we can throw in some bot smelting if we need to, or something. So what I've done with these smelters is, it's pretty straightforward. But I do, again, want to explain things to you guys and make this more tutorial-esque, because the multiplayer one that was supposed to be that way just pretty much straight up failed in that regard. So this is just a neat little trick that allows you to get your iron or ore, rather, not necessarily iron, anything you're going to smelt, and then the fuel, the coal, or whatever it may be, on the same belt on opposite sides and evenly split. So it's very straightforward. You just put your splitters, and I'm just looking, these things look so nice in these HD graphics. You put your splitters here, 1 on each side, and it will make the belts go like this, and then you underground. Now, I prefer my fuel to be on the inside. It doesn't have to be, by any means. I just prefer it that way, I guess, because I'm used to it, or something. I don't really have a good reason. But you put that, and then the ore or whatever goes on the other side. It's evenly split and works very, very well. And I think it kind of looks cool too. And then also lastly, I've spaced these out. A lot of people previously have asked why I space out the smelters like this. It's so we can get a power pole in here, because otherwise, just for an example, if you place them straight in a line like this, it is more compact, yes. However, you need a power pole on every side, on both sides. If I put this here, right, this does not have power. So I would have to put a power pole here as well. And one, it kind of looks ugly to me. Two, it's twice as many power poles, and it just seems like a bit of a mess. And also, this is harder to count because they're in a straight, they're all next to each other. And this is quite easy to count because they're spaced out by 2, so you can just easily, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 very quickly, which I kind of like. So these bottom 4 are going to be copper. I prefer my iron on the top of the bus for some reason. I guess because it's, maybe you need to split it off more, I guess would be the reasoning, so it's easier to get to if you build to the top. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So we need one more, but I'm not going to mess with that now. I do want to get iron up and running, and copper, of course, but iron is more important right now. We've been surviving off that one little burner thing of copper over here, or 2, and I'm not even close to out of copper, so it's really iron that's the issue. I'm not going to bother getting coal to these right now. And now you can send the fuel through the inside here, but I don't really mind doing it on the outside. I think in this particular situation layout, that is actually quite doable to have it on the outside. But yeah, so I just run this through here, curve it around. It doesn't interfere with this belt because it's running the other direction. And, oh, you derp, that's not what that's for. Oh wait, yeah it is. Sorry, thought I plugged it into the splitter for a second. Okay. I think even just 1 for now is good, because I really, really want to get iron up and running, and it will take me a little bit to do all the rest of that stuff. So, iron is way the hell over here. Need some miners. These circuits. Man, this drives me nuts, making these circuits by hand, so that's going to be one of the first things we get up and running, automated, and I do want to do things kind of, I know I said this, but I want to do things kind of properly and, more, fully, I guess would be the best word, in this playthrough, because previously in my other single player runs, either on camera or off, the ones I've done by myself, I kind of just half-ass stuff because I'm lazy or I just don't want to mess with it, and it bites me. It comes back to bite me big time. Like, I won't have a proper make everything factory and such, and then I end up crafting things all the time, and I am chopping these down for a reason. I'm trying to make room for some miners here. So I want to actually make like a proper, little make everything or mini bus, as Scarhoof would call it. I quite like that way of saying it, and actually have the stuff made. So assemblers made, have circuits. Of course, I'm gonna put circuits on the main bus. So really, I'll probably just box them up like from a few assemblers in that setup. But inserters, assemblers, miners, all kind of stuff, and then move it obviously into a higher level once we actually get to that point with bots and such. Maybe incorporate circuitry if I can actually figure stuff out. Trains and circuitry are by far my weakest points in the game. I think I've pretty much everything else handled quite well, but those two, those are ones I still am not super solid on. So I'm actually excited, right? I'm excited for the trains because in the multiplayer that I've done, oh dear, did I goof? I think that's okay. In the multiplayer I've done, Colonel Will or Mojo have placed the rails, and I haven't really had any part of that. I've just kind of avoided it, to be honest, but I'm excited to actually force myself to do it and have a proper, well-built rail system. Now, of course, we do have Mojo's rail blueprints, which I've apparently just neglected to save. Maybe it was meant to be that way. I don't know. But yeah, even if we had his blueprints right now, or we do have his blueprints, I would probably modify them anyway because the size of trains I want to run is going to be different than what his blueprints are calibrated for, essentially. So I'm just throwing down some power. These little power poles, man. Right? It makes me really annoyed that they don't connect across on this distance. So you have to do something kind of wonky, and then you always have to move them. I would put this in front, but I actually do want to I can get another miner here. You can see this guy just barely doesn't touch that, and it's new ore. I can just look at this for like 10 minutes straight. This looks so great. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get that. Throw him down. And actually, if I were smart at all, what I would do is do that and not this. Don't ask me why I didn't think of that. But we're going to run him through. Come on. There we go. Come on. Oh, you're so close. Stupid power pole. And we probably want to get some military here at some point. We do have, I placed these radars down too, if you didn't notice. I didn't mention it. We do have biters. I haven't found them yet. Hopefully they exist. I mean, I know they did because I revealed out the map initially and then unrevealed it. But, they're out there. And they are not on peaceful. So we will want some sort of military. Okay, so our iron, I don't want to run this all the way down and then back up. It would be completely pointless, so I have to recount these. This is our first iron one, so that's actually about right. Well, I lined it up almost perfectly. Oh, I have a bunch over there. I really need to start using the pipette tool, which, by the way, if you don't know, if you mouse over an item that's already placed, or actually I think even a ghost item works, and you press Q, aha, ghost item does work. Super cool. And you press Q, if you have the item anywhere in your inventory, it'll put it in your cursor. So I'm just hitting Q. That's the default key. You can change it, of course. And it'll just bring up the thing. It's essentially the picker mod, but in vanilla, which is really nice. And if you do it over a resource patch, it'll bring up the fastest miner you have available. So in this case, it brought up a burner because I don't have a electric one. But if I did have an electric miner, it would put that in my cursor, which is quite nice. I'm telling you, man, I already tore up. Oh, come on. Don't you... I swear, I'm telling you, this thing makes me... Oh, crap. One short. I was going to say, if I run out of iron to make belt, to get the iron ore down there, like, one short, I was going to flip. Okay, whew. We got that. At least we have ore coming in. That's the important part. And now, with these ghosts, now we just simply... Actually, what you should do, Sturm, and because this will make it easier, if you place the power poles first, as I completely run out of them, luckily we have an abundance of wood here. If I place the power poles first, I can literally just run and like drag down the furnaces because, this is the only spot they can place in. If I do it without the power poles, I have to... click each time, because if I just run down, it just covers the ghost with a furnace and does it all wrong. But doing this, right, so now, if I take my furnaces and go like this, that's the only place they can actually go, so it works out very nicely to just smack them down like that. And then belt, of course, which we have, like, none of, but I do want at least enough to get, whoop, those are ghosts. See, that's what happens, you gotta be careful. And we're out. We have nothing. Okay, well that's fine. The ore will build up inside the furnaces, so that's fine. Or the plate, rather. And now we just need to connect this to power. See if there's... Actually, we could run it, like, straight through here. I think this would work out quite well. Kind of keep things organized, at least for now. They never seem to stay that way, do they? Let's go ahead and place these down. Just... I'm holding down click, left click, and walking. It'll place them at max distance. Very nice. Yep. Yep. Come on. There we go. So those are powered. If I actually had, real inserters and not ghosts there, this would be doing something. And there isn't really any belt here, but that's fine. It'll build up in the furnace, like I said. And... those are all done. Let's place these. Again, pipette tool, exterm. It's going to take me a while to get used to. I mean, I've gone like 3 years without it. It takes a little bit to get into the new habits. Those are facing the wrong way. Okay, so now I have iron. Make a little bit more belt. Kind of doing this piecemeal as we have the iron to do so. And yeah, so we're gonna run our bus out this way. It seems pretty clear. We'll have to, nip off a bit of this forest. Hopefully, well, I was gonna say hopefully by then we'll have grenades, but there's no way because our bus needs to go right there. So that's the type of thing I'll do off camera, you know, just because there's literally nothing you can learn from it, you know, except maybe how I chop down a tree and what order I do it or something. But yeah, you know, stuff like that. And that actually reminds me, I'd love to hear. I was like, is that a? That's a. Oh man, I derped. I done goofed. Here we go. Anyway, I would love to hear in the comments what you guys, in terms of like what you want to see me do on or off camera, because I know some people like to see everything, and some people like to not see everything. I mean, obviously it's going to be split, but hopefully I can find some sort of majority, you know, of what you want me to show in this playthrough. Because typically I would do stuff like outposting and, you know, well, tree chopping off screen and stuff like that. But I would like to hear what you guys actually want to see. Now, like tree chopping and stuff, I'm just going to do off screen. I mean, just because, I mean, really, I can't imagine anyone would want to watch like half an episode of that. But, you know, outposts and stuff, at least for quite a while, I think I will do those on screen just because it's an interesting process, especially for like uranium or something. That's a very different process. And speaking of which, we definitely want to get mining this uranium as soon as we can, because if you remember last episode when I mentioned you need like 60,000 ore process to actually get enough of the good uranium to start the Covrex process, enrichment process and stuff to make fuel cells. So we want to start that as soon as we can, which unfortunately we can't do till after oil, you know, because it requires sulfuric acid. But so we're going to do this, and right off the bat, just first thing, this is not going to be permanent by any means, but I'm using belt like crazy. So I'm just going to set up a quick little assembler here, and I actually need two. Gears don't appear out of nowhere, Xterm. Let's go ahead and make this gears, and then we're going to direct insert into belt. I'm going to want a couple more inserters here. Circuits are the next thing. This is already driving me nuts, making all these things by hand. It really adds up. I can't imagine doing the marathon setting with this, because I mean, I think circuits in that require like 10 copper cable or something. Oh god, that'd be painful. Now technically this actually needs 2 inserters because it requires 2 iron, but oh, just make it. Come on, do it right. But yeah, so I'm also I know I'm jumping around a lot still. I think it's a little better than first episode. Until I get all this super excitement out of the way, I can't really help it. A couple things I miss achievement-wise, and I do apologize for this. I was looking, when I was going through the achievements that Can's stupid achievement mod added, I was looking for this like special colored outline or circle, but someone pointed out in the comments of the first video, and thank you for doing so, because I probably would have missed it for who knows how long otherwise. Some other ones he added, 2 more train-related ones, which I love. Undercarriage inspection. C-Track, think train. I love this. So this is like obviously specifically for me, and I'm guessing the way I get this is just simply get hit by a train. So I mean, this one we'll get this pretty soon, as you would imagine. And then wait for it. It's worth the wait. This I would imagine this is just, I could get this by crossing a track without getting hit. So, you know, hopefully we can do that first try. I mean, I guess either way, if I don't get this, I'll get this. And if I don't get this initially, then I'll get this. So it's kind of nice in that sense. But those are 2 I missed that I did want to point out, you know, to anyone else who you know, didn't notice that I'd missed them. So we're just going to grab a wooden box here, put this down, and I am going to cap it a little bit, because I actually want to throw down another box for this guy. Because gears, I mean, even if you have, where's my inserters? There we go. Even if you have, you know, belts made, you know, gears are still required in, you know, assemblers, for example. So it's nice to kind of just have some of those on hand. Again, these are not permanent. These will be in a much more, you know, kind of concrete place, I guess you could say. And we already don't have enough iron. Didn't I put like 8 miners down? Whew. This is, need some lights too. I researched lights. I didn't make any. Oh wait, yeah I did. Duh. No. Place them every so often, because I could use more light or something for YouTube, but I feel like, you know, lights kind of add a nice ambiance to the game. Speaking of ambiance, look at this uranium ore. This is so awesome. It glows in the dark. It actually looks really cool under trees, believe it or not, because you can't actually see the ore, but you can see the glow, so it looks kind of even more mysterious and stuff, because there's just like a green glow under the trees, and you know, you can actually see the ore that's doing it. Ooh, man, look at that animation. Maybe it's the way I'm standing. I never really noticed that. This guy, man, I wish I was that strong. Just one-armed, whacking these trees down with a pickaxe in like 3 hits. Okay, maybe like 5 hits, but still. Damn. That is pretty impressive. Okay. Do that. I know I only added 2 more. Well, let's make 1 more here. Fill out this little corner, I guess. Do that. Oh, thank you, autosave. I need to organize my toolbar too. Although that's kind of the other thing that's interesting, is that with the pipette tool, you don't necessarily have to organize your inventory as much if you use the pipette tool, because you know, you don't have to, you know, have your belts and stuff in a specific place. If you just hit Q, it'll just pull them from wherever they are, which is really nice. And I do kind of prefer that more than the having like set slots, and then, because I never remember, well, one, if you've watched any of my footage, you'll know that I never remember to set them in the first place. And even if I do, I never remember to actually use the hotkey to get the thing from it. And I'm hoping I can kind of train myself with the pipette to, you know, actually do it correctly. So we're going to get another one of these guys going. Now, these are only 12 long. They're going to be much longer. I'm going to build them out for blue belt, which is 30, technically, it's 35 steel or electric furnaces per side to saturate a blue belt. I build 36, and pretty much everyone I play with builds 36, just because otherwise it leaves you with an uneven number, which is just kind of a, you know, finicky little picky thing. But we do 36 per side, so that's for steel or electric furnaces to fully saturate a blue belt. For red belt with steel or electric, it's 24, or not 24, sorry, 48. And then these stone furnaces, which will be on for a while, is quite a lot. It's actually, I think, 24 per side just for a yellow belt. Of course, this is saturated because it's backed up, but also, can we do this? Requires 3. Right, okay, so you can't make an assembler in an assembler 1, which is unfortunate. You can, however, start making science very soon. I need to get some copper going. But yeah, so like finishing up these smelters is something I'm going to do off camera, because, you know, if you've seen the blueprint, you've seen me set up 1, or at this point probably 2. You know, so you kind of know the deal, you know why it's the way it is, and I feel like it would just be a little bit of a waste of footage and your time, I suppose, to be showing it again, you know, in a process you've already seen for something like this. Okay, so there's that. Do that. Place it too far forward. Again. Underground. Underground exterm. You would think I would you'd think I'd do this right after doing it so many times. And I know you're probably yelling I'm not using pipette. Like I said, it's gonna take a while. I've not used it for like 3 years, you know, because it's just new in the game now. So iron's backed up there. That is great. Now these are copper. I would like to get copper. Let me see. We're actually at 24 minutes, so I'm gonna call this here. I think I'm gonna start. I think these are all cold. Let me just do this. Otherwise, I'm gonna probably forget. Get this one going. And cool. So that's already split. And of course, damn it. Now, of course, we could scoot this out more, and we wouldn't have this issue of having to be so particular about where we put this, but you know, I kind of like it compact like this, and this, you know, this does work. Jeez. Oh. This is definitely time for me to end the episode. When I start, like, really making mistakes like this, it's a good time for me to take a bit of a breather, I think. Let me just throw this in here. We know this is going to be copper. And I'm about to make more belts because it is actually faster. See, now that I have gears in my inventory, it's actually faster in this particular case for me to make them on hand than to run all the way to the assembler. So that's why it's kind of nice to have gears. in your inventory, made. Same with, like, for miners, miners require gears. Of course, I still have to make the bloody circuits, but that's okay. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna call this one here. I hope you guys enjoyed. In next episode, we'll start on the bus. We'll start some red science, maybe even green science if I can get my act together. Typically, I like to do them together, so actually we probably will get both done. Well, maybe not, because we need circuits. Circuits are first. We'll see what we can get done. But anyway, that's the plan. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Again, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to leave a like. I'd really appreciate that. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and anything down in the comments. But until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.